Okay, hello everyone, welcome to the week. This week we are going to do a cost utility analysis. We are still with Seahawk Medical Center. A cost utility analysis is a type of cost effectiveness analysis. It's used throughout Europe and Asia. It's not used as much in the US because it does require that we quantify our life satisfaction. And our health. And I don't think in the US we like to put values on our life. So as the years have gone on, we've started to do this more. And so if you look at more current research, you're going to see a lot more. Again, I recommend going to all of these so you can learn more about cost utility analysis and how it is used in the real world. Our scenario file is the same. We're with Seahawk Medical Center. And then our actual program for our project is right here. The issues that we're having this week is we are having a lot of folks coming into the emergency department because of mental health issues. This is a very common thing to happen in emergency departments. And so we're going to make some changes to address the issue. Our choices are to do a mobile health clinic, a telehealth service, or just treat in the ED. And it explains each of those here. And then we have some utility values, and these we're going to use in our first spreadsheet. So I'm going to leave this open and go to another tab. So this is our first spreadsheet. This is the one that you're going to submit this week. You do not have to submit the cost spreadsheet because you'll have that information within this file. So it doesn't have a password, so that makes it relatively simple as well. For this week, we also do not have any questions that require additional calculations. So you can feel free to go ahead and send over your file when you get it finished because of all the data entry, so I can check it to make sure it's correct before you take the quiz. But there shouldn't be a whole lot of confusion with the quiz this week. So I'm going to show you how to do the first two here, show you how to do a formula, and then we're going to let you go on this. This will be a shorter video. For these patients, we're going to notice there's 50 of them. And then at the bottom, we do take our averages. The first patient is 72, has an acuity of 3. So we're going to find the utility. This means the satisfaction with their life. And then we're going to look over here to find that information. So the first person has an acuity of 3, which is a 0.5. So they have a 50% reduction in their quality of life. If you're interested in utility and quality of life, you can look it up on the internet and find there are different ways that it's calculated to kind of go through how much our satisfaction with life changes over time. So for the second person, they have an acuity of 2. So they only have a 30% reduction in the quality of life, and so they'll have a 0.7. And so what we're going to do is do that for each person on this list. You're going to go down. You're going to notice a lot of times, there are a lot of 3s. So we know for all the 3s, they're going to be a 0.5. And so you could go through and do that if you'd like. And then the 0.2s will have the 0.7. So you can kind of see how this actual column is pretty simple to calculate. And then once you get to the bottom, you're going to do some averages. And so I'm going to show you how to do an average. So to do an average, you could just type in equals average and then parentheses, and then you're going to highlight all the cells that you're going to include. For this one, it's C4 through C53. You can see the formula up here at the top and press enter. Click on it again and you'll see that formula. What you may notice in yours, see how mine says 3.24? Yours may not do that the same. Everyone's computer formats the cells a little bit differently. So if you don't see that and you really want to see that, you can always go to format cells, right click on the cell, format cells, and then go to number, select the decimal places. You could go up to 7 or 8 if you want, and it'll give you the correct number, based on what you select. But remember, Excel does not ever round, but it will change how your data is shown depending on how you want it to display. So just click Format Cells if you want to change that around. So once you've finished adding all these, you can do the average of all the columns. I recommend instead of doing average and doing them in each one, I would do after the end, I would click Control C on this cell right here and then Control V. So that way you have all of those formulas in place. So that way, when this data is populated, you're all set. Because what you have a tendency to do in these later formulas, as you'll see later, you can copy and paste that formula down, and you have a tendency to just copy and paste that formula down into that average cell, which is going to give you the wrong answer. We need the average in this average cell. So maybe even highlight it so that way you know, okay, I'm not calculating anything here. It's just equals average with the cells. So I hope that helps. And you can, like I said before, change these cells to show however many number of decimals you want to show. So obviously this is not correct because we don't have all the data in here. But that is a very easy fix. Once you finish, all the data will be included. So after you have finished both of these cells, it will ask you for the password to go on to the next spreadsheet. And so let's go ahead and pop into that one. Our next spreadsheet is this life table. And so in order to get in here, I have this in the email, but you're going to add the averages of those. You're going to add the averages. I'll show you. I'll pull this over for you. Okay. The password to get into this life years table is going to be these two averages. And so it asked for 3 decimal places, or I'm sorry, 3 digits. And so what you have here is you have a lot more and here you don't. So it asks for 3 numbers. So for this one, obviously you're gonna only need 1 decimal. You can do this by hand or you can change it. So the first part is going to be the 503, and then this we can format this to just the 3 digits too by getting rid of some of those. So your password should be 503324. But that will show you how to get into this life years table. And so we're going to use then the life years table kind of like we did the utility table, where we're going to use it to do data entry. And so you're going to go, wow, I'm doing a lot of data entry. So for this first patient, 72 years old, life years. And so we're going to look here. We're basically looking to see how many more years do they have left to live. So someone at 72 years old is going to be right here. I'm trying to highlight this for you. I'm going to need to make it bigger. Okay, so 72 years old, they are estimated to have this 13.5 years left to live. If you notice, the average life expectancy is like 76, 77, depending on where you're looking. And this person who's 72 has 13 more years to live. What you're going to notice is the longer that you live, the longer you're expected to live. So that's kind of interesting and kind of encouraging as you get older. And then the second person is 76 years old. And over here you can see, let me blow it up again so you can see that. They have 5.7 years left to live. So 5.7. And then you're going to do that the whole way down. This is the column where you're going to have more errors. And so that's why I recommend email it over to me. It's a quick pop in and look, and I can easily say, hey, check this cell, maybe check this formula or something like that. So you're going to do that for each and every one the whole way down. And then you're going to have an average here. And in order to keep going, we're only going to do these top 2 just because it is pretty self-explanatory. So equals utility times life years, utility times life years. That's an easy formula, equals D4 times E4. And then you can copy, instead of doing this formula, you can Control C and then Control V. and paste it the whole way down. Obviously, these are not going to have data because you don't have information here, but you can kind of see how easy these last 4 columns are going to be because you enter the formula one time and you're all set. So once you finish here, you're going to be able to enter the password. The information is provided in the hints and helps as far as how to get into the next one. And then we're going to calculate the total cost in this next one. So this is going to be our last file that we have to open, which is exciting. Because it is something you've done in the weeks before. So this year we're gonna, or this week, we're going to do the totals just like we have in the previous weeks, equals sum and then the cells, or you can click on auto sum and then you can control C and control V to where that way you have that information. Then you can auto sum at the top and then sum on the bottom. Note, sometimes it doesn't include all the cells, so you have to drag it up. But then you can control C and control V it over. For this first one, you should get this as your total cost. And then what you're going to notice up here is utility change in 5 years is going to be 25%. For telehealth, 15%, and treat and ED, 10%. And you're going, what does that mean? That means our satisfaction with being treated is going to be increased for all 3. However, in this mobile clinic, our satisfaction is going to be increased the most. The reason I say that is we are actually going to use this in our next formula. So we're going to go to mobile clinic now, and our formula is going to be equals, and then we can do parentheses utility times 1.25. We get the 25 where it has XX because we're going to get 25% more utility. We assume we have as much utility as we did before the mobile clinic was created. That's why it's a 1 there. So it's 100% plus 25 additional more percent. So that's why that 1 is there, times our life years. And then once again, after we've done that once, we can control C and control V it down. Just make sure we don't paste into our average column like I said before. And then we're done. That whole column will be complete. So then we can move on to our telehealth equals parentheses utility times, if you remember, if we go over to our telehealth, I'll let you find the totals for these 2 projects, but telehealth is 15. So that gives you an idea of what you're looking for here. Sorry about that. I was in the cell when I moved over and it doesn't like that. 1.15 parentheses times life years right here. And then you can copy and paste that down as well. For our final one, we are going to treat NAD. I'm going to not put in the formula this time so that way we don't get off. Our formula for treat NAD is 10% increase in utility. So for this one, we're going to do equals parentheses utility times 1.1 parentheses times life years. And so you're going to have all this data and control C and control V. So after you fill in the average formulas and then do this data entry and then do the top one, all of this stuff down here is copy and pasted in. So you should be all set. And you should have numbers here. Obviously, they're not going to be these numbers. Your total cost is going to come from this other file. Like I said, I did this one for us, which is this number right here. So our total costs for mobile clinic are going to be 1,341,652. And then you'll be able to enter the next 2 when you go over to these tabs and calculate these total costs and these total costs. You'll be able to enter those into those spots. The cost per quality gained, this is kind of the other hiccup in the formula. because you have to follow this exactly. What you're going to notice is there's parentheses in this formula, and parentheses mean do this first. And the way order of operations is set up, it doesn't know what to do first unless you have the parentheses. But also, as a student, it's easy to forget where the parentheses go. So for this formula, it's showing you that the parentheses go in the denominator only. So I'm going to show you what that'll look like. So you'll do equals total cost, which is this number right here, G55, divided by, here's our parentheses. So don't put the parentheses starting after the equals, or you'll get it wrong. And then you'll do the average for the project, which is the cell right here, G54. Note, this is not the correct number here because I haven't done the data and calculations, minus our baseline quality, which is right here, cell F54, and then parentheses. Once again, this is not the correct answer because these aren't correct, but this tells you kind of how the formula is set up. So look at this right here to get your formula. That's really the trickiest part of it, is getting those parentheses in and making sure that data entry is correct. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, please let me know. I hope you enjoy our final escape room. At the end of the week, I will put you in groups for the group project. So enjoy it. And this is all I need submitted for the project. So have a good week.